Sometimes a single negative thought can take over your whole world. It begins as a whisper, a worry, a memory, a doubt, and suddenly your peace is gone, replaced by noise you can't turn off. But what if there were a way to stop those negative thoughts instantly? Not by fighting them, but by seeing them differently. It's called the 3-second observer trick, a simple yet powerful shift in awareness that stops the storm inside your mind before it begins. Here's how it works. For 3 seconds, instead of reacting to your thoughts, you become the observer, the one who watches them pass. When you observe your mind, you activate what physicists call the observer effect, the discovery that the act of observation itself changes what is being observed. The same truth applies to consciousness. The moment you see a thought clearly, it begins to lose its power. You don't need to silence your mind or control every idea that appears. You just need to pause, notice, and remember, you are not the thought, you are the one who sees it. That's the essence of the 3-second observer trick. And once you experience it, even once, you'll understand what real freedom of mind feels like. Take a slow breath. Notice the air as it moves in and out. Watch your thoughts like clouds moving across the open sky. Nothing to fight, nothing to fix, just awareness itself. That awareness is who you are. The mind creates storms. The observer remains the sky. And in those 3 seconds of clear seeing, peace begins to return on its own. Sometimes, it feels like our mind has a life of its own. You might be washing dishes, walking home, or lying in bed, and suddenly, a thought appears. You're not doing enough. You messed up again. They probably don't like you. You didn't invite it. You didn't ask for it. Yet there it is, sitting inside your head like an unwelcome guest, replaying old fears, looping past conversations, predicting futures that never happen. These thoughts arrive quietly, but the way they feel is loud. Your chest tightens, your stomach shifts, your breathing changes, and within seconds, the body reacts to what the mind imagined, as if the story were happening in real time. This is the invisible trap we all live in. Most people don't realize they're not just thinking, they're being thought by their thoughts. The moment one thought drops into the mind, it sends ripples through your emotions, your energy, and your entire day. You may wake up calm, but one small memory, one little what if, can change your whole frequency. It's not your fault. The human brain evolved to protect you by predicting danger, but it doesn't always know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. A harsh email feels like a tiger in the jungle. An awkward silence feels like rejection from the tribe. So your mind keeps scanning for what could go wrong. It keeps creating little movies of worst-case scenarios. And soon you're not living in the present anymore. You're living inside a simulation of fear, sadness, or self-doubt. That's why most self-help advice doesn't really work. People say think positive, manifest better thoughts, or focus on gratitude. But that's like trying to stop a storm by yelling at the clouds. The harder you try to control your thoughts, the louder they become. Because the real problem isn't the thoughts themselves, it's the identification with them. When you believe every voice in your head is you, there's no space left to breathe, to observe, to choose. And yet, within that same storm of thoughts, there's a tiny gap, a silent observer that's always watching. You felt it before, maybe in moments of awe or stillness. When you saw the sunset and forgot your worries for a second. When you laughed so deeply you couldn't remember what was wrong. That quiet awareness behind it all. That's the part of you the thoughts can't touch, but we forget it exists. We get caught in mental noise, scrolling, reacting, comparing, until we become the noise itself. And that's when the negative thought loop takes over. It repeats, it strengthens, it convinces you it's truth. If your mind has ever whispered things like, "You're not enough," "You always fail," "They're happier than you," you've already experienced this loop in action. It's like being trapped inside a movie where the same painful scene keeps replaying, and you don't realize you're the projector. This is why people meditate, journal, breathe, seek therapy, or travel, not to find themselves, but to step back enough to see that they were never lost. The truth is, you can't stop thoughts from appearing, but you can stop believing every one of them, and that single shift from being the thought to observing it changes everything. The moment you start watching your thoughts instead of being them, the loop begins to dissolve. That's the doorway to freedom, and it's much closer than you think. Here's where it gets fascinating. When you use the 3-second observer trick, you're not just doing a mental exercise, you're changing how your brain and your energy field operate. Science has shown that your thoughts are not just invisible whispers. They create measurable electrical and chemical signals inside your body. Every thought sends tiny bursts of energy, like microscopic lightning, through the neural networks of your brain. And when those thoughts are negative, your body reacts as if danger is real. Cortisol, the stress hormone, surges, your muscles tighten, your heart rate speeds up. It's the fight or flight system, still running on instincts from thousands of years ago. But here's the secret. The moment you pause to observe your thoughts, you switch off that ancient alarm system. When you watch a thought, instead of reacting to it, your brain activates the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for awareness, decision-making, and calm focus. That signal overrides the amygdala, the fear center that screams, "We're in danger." So within 3 seconds of observing a thought, you're literally reshaping your brain's electrical activity. This is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you focus on. Every time you choose to observe instead of react, you're carving new, peaceful pathways in your neural landscape. Now let's take it one step deeper, into quantum science. Physicists studying the observer effect discovered something astonishing. When subatomic particles are unobserved, they behave like waves, existing everywhere at once. But the moment they are observed, they collapse into a single definite form. Observation changes reality. And what you observe, consciously or unconsciously, begins to take shape in your world. When you observe chaos with fear, your reality mirrors fear. When you observe with stillness, your reality reorganizes around peace. You don't need to create reality. You're already doing it. Every time you look, think, and feel. This is the essence of quantum consciousness. The idea that awareness doesn't just witness the universe, it participates in its unfolding. And when you pause for 3 seconds to notice your thought, you are literally collapsing a potential reality, transforming chaos into clarity. It's not magic, it's consciousness physics. In simple terms, your thoughts are like ripples in water. Your awareness is the still lake beneath. The moment you look clearly at the ripple, you realize it's not separate from the lake. It's made of the same water. The thought and the observer are connected, but the observer is always still, always free. That's why the 3-second observer trick works. Because awareness, once activated, instantly changes the vibration of thought itself. Let's bring it back to the body for a second. When you pause and observe, 3 key things happen in your biology. 1. Your breathing slows down. This sends a signal to your nervous system that you are safe. 2. Your heart rate synchronizes. This creates heart-brain coherence, a measurable harmony between thought and emotion. Your brain waves shift from beta to alpha. Alpha waves are the state of relaxed awareness, where insight, creativity, and intuition come alive. So those 3 seconds aren't just a pause, they're a reset button for your entire inner system. When you understand this, you stop fighting your thoughts. You begin to see them as energy in motion, temporary forms rising and dissolving within the field of awareness. That awareness is infinite. It doesn't get hurt. It doesn't age. It doesn't panic. It simply watches. And the more you remember that, the more peaceful your life becomes. Not because everything outside changes, but because you stop reacting to what's inside. This is why ancient wisdom and modern science are finally meeting in the same place. What sages called mindfulness, witnessing, or pure awareness, quantum physics calls the observer effect. Different languages, same truth. The power to change your life doesn't come from controlling the storm. It comes from remembering that you are the sky. Now that you understand what's really happening inside your mind, and how the observer effect can change your thoughts, let's put it into practice. This is the 3-second observer trick. It's not a long meditation or a complicated ritual. It's a simple awareness exercise you can use anytime, in traffic, at work, before sleep, or even in the middle of an argument. All it takes is 3 seconds. But those 3 seconds can change the entire direction of your day. Step 1. The spark. Notice the thought. The first moment begins when a negative thought appears. It might say, "I can't do this. They don't like me. What if I fail?" Most people react instantly. They tighten up, argue with the thought, or try to drown it out with distractions. But not you. Not this time. As soon as you notice the thought, you say to yourself, quietly or out loud, "There's a thought." That's it. You've already stepped into awareness. You're no longer in the thought. You're seeing it. You just created the space for transformation. Step 2. The pause. Count to 3. Now slowly count. 1, 2, 3. Don't try to control or fix anything. Just breathe and observe. In these 3 seconds, you're interrupting the brain's automatic reaction pattern. You're sending a new signal through your nervous system that says, "I am aware. I am calm. I choose presence." As you count, imagine the thought as a cloud passing across your inner sky. You're not pushing it away. You're watching it drift by. That's the observer effect in action. Awareness changes energy. Step 3. The shift. Feel the space around it. Once you've observed the thought for 3 seconds, move your attention away from the thought itself and into the space that surrounds it. This is subtle but powerful. If your thought was a sound, notice the silence behind it. If it was a picture, sense the open awareness that image appeared in. That space, that quiet presence, is you. It was here before the thought appeared, and it will remain long after it fades. Breathe into that realization. Let it settle into your chest like warmth spreading through the body. Step 4. The anchor. Name what's real. To make this real, whisper to yourself something like, "I am the one who sees," or "I am awareness itself." When you name yourself as the observer, you pull your identity back from the thought. You're no longer trapped in the story. You're standing outside it. This instantly grounds your energy. Your breathing deepens. Your body relaxes. Your mind clears. This is not escaping your life. It's re-entering it consciously. Step 5. The reset. Return with clarity now. Open your eyes. Look around. Feel your body. Notice how the world seems a little sharper, as if someone turned up the light just a bit. That's what happens when you return to presence. The noise in your head quiets, and the energy that was trapped in worry flows back into awareness. This is where creativity, love, and clear action begin. Real-life practice. How to use it daily. You can use this trick anywhere, anytime when you catch yourself spiraling into what-ifs. When someone says something that triggers you. When anxiety wakes you up in the middle of the night. When you're overthinking a decision. Just pause and say 3 seconds. Observe. You don't need silence or incense or perfect posture. You only need awareness. The more often you practice, the faster your brain learns to stay calm automatically. Within a few weeks, this becomes second nature, your default response to stress and negativity. Each time you use this trick, you are 1. Rewiring neural pathways toward peace and clarity. 2. Reducing stress hormones in real time. 3. Strengthening the mind-body connection. 4. Activating the same brain centers used in deep meditation. So in a few breaths, without effort, you're doing what years of mindfulness training accomplish. It's practical, It's scientific. It's powerful. Here's the beautiful part. When you start living as the observer, you realize that you've never really been the one having the thoughts. The thoughts appear within you, but they are not you. You are the awareness that watches everything come and go. Thoughts, emotions, memories, sensations, like waves on an infinite ocean of consciousness. That realization is the true beginning of inner freedom, and all of it starts with a simple 3-second pause. So the next time a negative thought tries to pull you under, remember, you don't have to fight it. You only have to see it, observe, breathe, and watch it dissolve. That's the 3-second observer trick, the simplest way to stop negative thoughts and return to peace. Now let's experience it together. This part is simple. No special posture, no background music needed, just you and 3 seconds of awareness. You can do this sitting down, standing up, or lying in bed. Ready? Let's begin. Step 1. Notice, close your eyes, or soften your gaze. Let a thought rise. Any thought. It could be a worry about work, a memory, or something you need to do later. Don't resist it. Don't judge it. Just notice. That's your first spark of awareness. Say to yourself softly, there's a thought. Step 2. The pause now. Gently count in your mind. 1, 2, 3. Feel the breath move through your body as you count. The thought may still be there, and that's perfectly fine. You're not trying to erase it. You're watching it from a higher place, the same way the sky watches every cloud drift by. Notice that as you observe, your body begins to relax. Your heartbeat slows. The space between you and the thought begins to open. That space is freedom. Step 3. Sense the space now. Bring your attention to the silence behind the thought. That silence is your awareness, the field everything appears in. If the thought is a cloud, this awareness is the entire sky. If the thought is sound, awareness is the quiet listening behind it. Let yourself rest in that space for a moment. Notice how peaceful it feels to simply watch. Step 4. Anchor the truth. Whisper to yourself, I am the one who sees. Feel those words vibrate through your chest. You're anchoring your identity in awareness itself, not in fear, not in thought, but in the conscious presence watching it all. This is who you truly are. Stay here for a breath or two. You don't have to hold it, just feel it. Now open your eyes, look around the room slowly. Notice colors, shapes, textures. Everything you see exists inside that same awareness. You've just experienced the 3-second observer trick, a direct glimpse of the stillness behind every thought. You didn't fight the mind. You didn't chase positive thinking. You simply observed. That's the doorway to peace. So how do you live this way? Not just during quiet moments, but in the chaos of real life. That's where the practice becomes transformation. 1. Use the 3-second trick as a reset button. When something triggers you, someone cuts you off in traffic, you read a harsh comment, you start comparing yourself online. Pause. Count 1, 2, 3. Say, there's a thought. In those few seconds, you're training your nervous system to return to calm automatically. Soon the mind learns, we don't need to panic anymore. You become the steady presence, even in the noise. 2. Observe before you react, before you send that text, before you defend yourself, before you spiral into what-ifs. Pause and observe. When you observe first, your response comes from awareness, not fear. It's clearer, kinder, and more intelligent. That's the beginning of emotional mastery. 3. Turn observation into creation. The same observer that sees thoughts can also shape reality. Remember the observer effect. The act of observation changes the outcome. When you hold a calm, conscious awareness, the energy around you begins to organize into harmony. Situations flow smoother. People respond differently. You attract clarity instead of chaos. This isn't superstition, it's resonance. You vibrate at the frequency of awareness itself. 4. Practice in the small moments. Waiting in line, brushing your teeth, scrolling your phone. All perfect moments to pause for 3 seconds and watch yourself watching. The more ordinary the moment, the more powerful the training. Eventually, awareness becomes your natural state, not something you do, but who you are. 5. When you forget, don't be hard on yourself. Even the greatest teachers forget. The trick is not to stay lost. Just notice that you forgot, and that noticing is already awareness returning. Smile at the realization, you're back. When you live as the observer, life becomes lighter. You stop carrying every emotion like a burden. You start flowing through experiences instead of being trapped by them. The 3-second observer trick isn't about escaping your thoughts. It's about seeing them clearly enough that they lose their power over you. And that clarity is freedom. Take one last deep breath. Notice the air moving in and out. Effortless, natural. Every breath is a reminder that you don't have to control life. You only have to be aware of it. You are not your mind. You are the observer, the quiet consciousness that watches everything come and go. And every time you remember that, you shift your entire reality. So the next time a negative thought appears, don't fight it. Don't fix it. Just pause, count 3 seconds, and observe. That's how you stop negative thoughts, not by changing your mind, but by awakening your awareness. If this practice brought you peace, share it with someone who needs it. And remember to subscribe for more explorations of consciousness, the observer effect, and the art of mindful reality creation. Together, we're awakening a more peaceful inner verse. One observation at a time. Have a good day.